And hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. And as always, thanks so much for being here. I hope you enjoy the show. Well, we're going to highlight a wonderful theater that's based here in Waterbury, Connecticut. You may not have heard about it, so I hope you enjoy getting to know it. It's the Seven Angels Theater, and Semina De Laurentiis, who is the artistic director and co-founder, is my guest today. And Semina, so nice to have you.
Oh,
thank you for making the drive over an hour. I'm so impressed.
Oh, it's a beautiful drive from where I took all the back roads, and no, thank you. It's a treat. It's a treat.
Well, I'm glad to have you. Like we talked about, is better than Zoom. So thank you for being here at the station.
Thank you for inviting me.
And what we talked about before we started taping is that I'd like to introduce the guest to the viewer. So why don't you take us back into your background? Introduce yourself to us.
Well, I was born in Waterbury, Connecticut, so I was born there. And then as a child, I was a child performer. My father loved music, and I got involved with music, mostly opera. But I loved musical theater, and so that's a career I wanted to follow. But I did go to Southern Connecticut State University, which was called Southern Connecticut State College at the time, to get a degree, to be a school teacher. That's kind of that security blanket kind of idea. But then when I graduated, I headed to New York, much to the dismay of my parents. And
that happens.
Yes, and while I was there, then I got involved in performing on cruise ships. I had a solo concert. I was a cabaret act, and I did that for 8 years and traveled the world, and then came back to New York because I really wanted to do musical theater, and got involved in a lot of off Broadway and performances, and then I was in the original production of Nonsense off Broadway, and so I created the role of Sister Mary Amnesia, and that was my claim to fame. But that brought me to Los Angeles, brought me to San Francisco and Los Angeles, and then I got involved with television and some film there, and that was like 1989 was the writer's strike in Los Angeles, and I thought it would just be a couple weeks, so went back home to visit my family, and the writer's strike happened for several months, the whole summer, and got involved with an art study in Waterbury, and from that art study is what was the founding of the theater. Farthest thing from my mind, so it totally was by accident, but my whole background has been in performance as a musical theater performer, cabaret performer. I did a lot of cabaret in New York, in Manhattan, and so it's been a great journey. It's been a wonderful journey that brought me back to Waterbury, the farthest thing from my mind that I would ever start a theater and be at a theater the same 35 years later.
And you know, you had mentioned that to me before we started,
Yes.
35 years that you've been at the theater. And many of my viewers, I'm sorry to say this, but even I, when I started the show, didn't know that you existed. How has it been for the theater to be in the state of Connecticut? Are people coming from all over the state or even outside of the state?
They do. They come from all over the state. They come from New York. We hire actors, directors, designers out of New York from across the country. So that's part of our professional part of the theater, premiering new plays, new musicals, established musicals and plays. And then we have a lot of community programs that are also part of the theater. So that you never heard of us touches my heart.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
But
I'm
so
thrilled to hear about it, though.
No. And part of my curtain speech all the time, I ask people, raise your hands if this is your first time at Seven Angels. And I see so many hands go up. And I thought, okay, that's good. It's never too late to find us.
That's
never
right.
too late. So it's been we've been a wonderful part of Waterbury. We've made a huge difference in Waterbury. We have a lot of youth and educational programs. I like to say that we have some young people that started, because the theater started in 1990, and it really became Seven Angels Theater in 1991, where we are now in our space that we are. And so many young people came through our educational programs, and now 35 years later, they're sending their children to be part of our educational programs. So that's how you know how long you've been there. Oh, you're the daughter, you're the son of so. Oh my gosh! But it's been a wonderful experience. It's been really wonderful for me because it was the farthest thing from my mind. I knew nothing about starting a theater. It was all started for Waterbury, for the community, for theater and performers and designers. So we made sure that we were professional from the beginning, that we would produce those kinds of quality programs and theater for people and get the word out. So, and we do concerts, and so a little bit of everything. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud. I'm proud of what's been made possible by so many people. And we're called Seven Angels because it was 7 people who made it possible to begin. So it's that word angels, like angels of Broadway. And so that's how it began. And
as a co-founder, what were your responsibilities when you started? Did you think growing up as a performer that you would be co-founding a theater?
No, never in a million years. It was just something, it was like I said, an accident. It sort of grew out of something else. And looking back, it was meant to be. It was meant to be. I always pray for guidance, right? Just guidance, and somehow the guidance is always there. And it's never quite what you expect, but I look back, it was meant to be. It was truly meant to be, and answers were always there in terms of, I relied on asking people questions, asking other theaters that I had worked out questions, other artistic directors, and I was never, I would take the advice and I would run with the advice. And so we've made it, that's what made it all possible. Always open to ideas. I love ideas that come to the table, and one idea feeds into another. But I knew it was important for the theater, as a professional theater, to be part of the community because I grew up there. So I kind of knew what wasn't there, what I wished was there when I was growing up. And we had wonderful educational drama programs, but there was never that professional theater. We had a wonderful museum, which is still there. The Mattituck Museum is in Waterbury. We have the wonderful Waterbury Symphony, just wonderful, wonderful. But we were the first professional artistic organization to emerge after 60 years when I was doing research. We had a wonderful civic theater called the Waterbury Civic Theater that stopped operating sometime in the 70s, early 80s, I think. That was a wonderful community theater that no longer existed. And so it was kind of a little bit of everything. And the 7 people, the 7 of us, really knew nothing about running a theater, but we were totally open to advice and knowing that it was a good thing. Just truly trusted it was a good thing. So we sought a lot of advice, called the state. There was it's called the Office of the Arts now, but at that time I think it was called the Arts Commission of Connecticut, or the Connecticut Arts Commission. Answered a lot of questions for us, guided us a lot. There was a wonderful woman at the Connecticut Commission on the Arts, Betsy Mahaffey, who gave me a lot of advice. So that's how it all evolved. And it's one of those things, if you knew then what you know now, you know what I'm saying? But it was all good, all good.
Artistic director is also your title. What are your responsibilities to have that title?
Anything, everything. Do the laundry, mop the floors, paint the set.
I hear from other artistic directors, it encompasses everything.
Everything. You got to be willing to do everything. It's a labor of love, and you have to ready to jump in, just ready to jump in, and including. Someone gets sick, you jump on stage. You know, just someone. I'm the resident understudy. I'm the resident, so I can tell you stories that will go on forever. Just incredible stories that you could hardly believe. but ready and able to do it all, to do it all. And just, I've met wonderful people throughout the state. People come from all over the state, from New York, from Massachusetts. That's our tri-state area. They from outside of the state come a lot for the professional things that we do, or the original plays we do. This season we'll be doing Jacques Lamar's The Wedding Binder. That's our new play. We're doing Sister Act, which is our big musical at the end of the season. We're opening our season with a little musical called Unchained Melodies that I discovered at Florida Studio Theater. And we licensed it from Florida Studio, and then the COVID happened.
Right.
So we didn't produce it for that season, so jump ahead, what? Is it 4 years?
Hard to believe.
Hard to believe. So we're finally producing it as part of our season called Unchained Melodies. It's a 50s, 60s music, 4 guys, and it's delightful. It's just a lot of fun. So, and then we'll do our Christmas community show, which is Last Call at Earlene's Diner. And it's an original Christmas show that we've been doing since 2010. Based on the character of Earlene Babcock, and we have a wonderful woman who's in our community. Her name is Michelle Gotay, and she created this character of Earlene Babcock, who runs Earlene's Diner. And so I've written this script that kinds of changes over the years, but it revolves around Earlene and her diner, and the Christmas dilemma of the year. So that'll be this Christmas, and then we do our concerts. We have a concert season of bands, and we invite local bands and also bands from that tour throughout the country. So it's a mix of everything, and that gives the opportunity to perform in the space, and they love the space. They just really, really love performing at the space. And that's very much like the Kate here in Old Saybrook that do all these wonderful concerts. So we do like a couple of months, September and October, and then January and February we'll be doing the same thing again with a concert. So, and we give local bands the opportunity to be on an actual stage with concert lighting and performing for an audience, which is really special for them. And then we have the tour bands that come through. So we have a whole, go on our website.
We will talk about that.
All the bands, that we have September and October. So we do everything. And our educational programs, we have a thing called Kids Stage. Kind of you name it, and we have it on our stage.
Okay.
Really special.
We're going to take a break.
Okay.
We'll be right back. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You are tuned into Arts and Entertainment. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Utility scam. A bad actor may call or text you claiming to be with the utility company and threaten to turn off your electricity, saying you haven't paid your bill. They may also try to steal your money and sensitive personal information through a fake home energy assessment. This ruse often includes a phony credit check, which requires you to hand over your banking information and even your social security number. They may claim they can save you money on your energy bills if you buy their discounted equipment, but all you'll get is a big credit card bill. Always check with your utility company before letting someone into your home. Even if they're wearing credentials, they may be fake. Also, utility companies won't call or text you out of the blue threatening to turn off the lights. And while they do energy assessments, you have to set them up ahead of time. They don't just send people knocking on doors. For more information on how to protect yourself, visit Better Business Bureau at bbb.org. And to report a scam, visit bbb.org/scam tracker.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. And as always, thanks so much for being here. Hope you continue to enjoy the show. My conversation continues on with Samina De Laurentiis. And Samina, we were talking during the break. I'd like to not forget for the viewer what the theater is like. Is it a building? Tell us what it's like.
Oh, it's a beautiful building. It's a City of Waterbury building. It's called the Hamilton Park Pavilion. It was built in 1929 as a big band dance hall. And so all the big bands would come from Boston, go to New York, and they'd stop in Waterbury. So all those big bands came and played at the Hamilton Park Pavilion. And we are actually on the stage that was part of that pavilion. The old dance floor is still there. And then the building became a roller skating rink when the big band era died out. And so we came upon the building in 1990. It was not being used very much anymore. We asked the city if we could renovate it. The city, it's in Hamilton Park in Waterbury, which has just been renovated. They're in the process of continuing a renovation of the park. Beautiful, just a beautiful park. And so they allowed us to come into the building, renovate it, and so it's our home. And the city has been extremely supportive of Seven Angels, of us being there, and we're grateful, just truly grateful. And we've been able to do other renovations in the building through the wonderful Woodward Foundation. We have renovated bathrooms and new air conditioning and painting, and it's been very special. New seats, we have brand new seats.
I was going to say, how many seats do you have?
A little over 300 seats.
So it's a substantial theater.
Yes, yes, and it's a proscenium stage, so there isn't a bad seat in the house.
Yes.
It's really lovely, and so we've brought life back into this building that was created, that was built for entertainment, that was built for bringing people into the park and just enjoying for audiences. So we're proud of that.
You had mentioned the website before we went to break. What will the viewer find when they go to sevenangelstheater.org?
All of our shows, everything that's happening at the theater, all about our programs, our main stage programs, our Spotlight series, our educational programs, our High School Halo Awards, everything is on that website. Also, how to buy tickets, also how to donate.
Can't forget that.
Can't forget that. Also how to donate and see everything that we're doing. And come to Waterbury. We're right off of I-84. Very easy, right off of I-84. And we do have patrons and subscribers that come from all over the state, and we're thrilled about that. So.
Halo Awards, you mentioned
Yes.
that, and it's passionate for you in your heart. You did one of these.
Yes.
So
yeah.
why don't you tell us what that's all about?
23 years ago, I thought of this idea of wanting to have like a high school Tony Awards for theater, high school theater programs. There are similar programs throughout the country, but I wanted to create something that really recognized all the students that participate in high school theater programs, on stage, backstage. And so we started with 12 high schools that were just in the Waterbury, it was just the Waterbury region, and it just grew. And we got more high schools asking us about it. And we now have 96 high schools participating across the state. We bring them all together at the Palace Theater, the beautiful renovated Palace Theater in downtown Waterbury, which has a whole Broadway series. They have a whole lot of things happening, so many things happening. So we go there, and these kids from across the state, these programs, they come and they'll perform a performance, a piece from their show on the Palace Theater stage, and we award all these awards through backstage, stage management awards, chorus awards, any aspect that a student may participate in their high school theater program. We don't award any adults. There's no fee to register to be part of the program. So it's a free program for the schools. And then we send judges to judge the performances, judge the shows, and then they all come together. And it's high schools from across the state, inner city schools, private schools, parochial schools, and they cheer each other on. They just cheer each other on. It's the energy, the passion that these kids have for theater and for each other. And it's really exciting to see. And I always say that, and the talent that is on that stage. And kids who are in high school theater, there's only a small percentage that's going to pursue theater as a career. But what theater does for them in terms of their life skills and teamwork and connecting to each other and solving problems and thinking out of all those things are just so important, and coming together. So I always say that talent doesn't know your demographic, right? It doesn't know your bank account. It doesn't know your address. And to see that blossom on stage. So that's why it's special.
You had talked about also, let's mention news that is happening. What is happening?
So the big news is after 35 years, it's time for me to retire. It's time for me to hand the reins over to new energy, to new ideas. The mission of the theater will always remain the same. The importance to the community and the role we play in the community and the community programs we do will always be there as part of the mission. And that's why we're looking for that person who is going to continue that mission and that role in the theater. But I'm retiring. I'm not retiring from the Halo Awards, but
not retiring from performing.
No, as long as I can remember my lines and sing on key. And someone will hire me.
And I don't think the audience really understands. You're really going to perform wherever you can perform.
Sure. If someone wants
to.
So
you're still performing all of these years later.
Yes, and I've performed at the theater over the years for certain roles. It was never to be founded as like a vanity showcase. That's the last thing I wanted. But every so often I will perform in a role that I think is right or was right for me, and I would enjoy that opportunity. So for instance, I played Florence Foster Jenkins in Souvenir. That was a very dear role. And I'm the resident understudy, so I would, wherever was necessary. So I will continue to do that wherever, but it's time. 35 years, it's time.
I was going to say, how do you feel? I mean, you're saying it's time. Do you feel you're okay to let that go and move on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I will miss being part of that creative part with people, but I'm not going to miss the grants writing. I'm not going to miss. How many people are in the seats tonight? Oh, wow. That kind of stress that goes with running a theater. That's an important part of a theater. And it's time to let that go and hand that responsibility over, but also hand the next 35 years over. And so you know when it's time to let go. As you said, it's time to let go. And so it's freeing. It's somewhat freeing, because otherwise you just keep kicking that can down the road, right? And with the theater, before it went into COVID, we had been talking about it, because I'm going to be 75 years old, so I have no qualms about saying how old I am. But prior to COVID, I was going to be turning 70 or so. So you start thinking about those things, and I wanted to make sure that the theater got through COVID. COVID was a trying time for theaters across the country, for the arts across the country. But coming out of COVID, and things have changed. COVID's changed a lot for a lot of theaters. And now we're in a more stable position, and so it's a whole.
We are starting to slowly run out of time.
Okay.
But do you foresee the next 35 years to be bright for the theater? Seven Angels will remain.
Oh, of course. Of course. It plays such an important role in the community, such an important role in Waterbury, and such an important role in the state as part of the arts for the state. And I've been. The Office of the Arts has been very, very supportive of Seven Angels. I'm proud to say I was an arts hero of Connecticut. So, but the arts will remain alive and well in Connecticut, and so will Seven Angels. I truly believe that, and I wouldn't let go unless I thought that. Yeah, I really.
What about theater in general? I mean, we hear film, television, video, all kinds of other platforms, streaming, so on and so forth. Will theater remain strong? Will people still want to go to the theater?
I don't think anything can replace live theater. And if you come to the Halo Awards and you see all those high school kids performing and their love for theater, and I don't think anything will replace that. I think it'll have its role. Other platforms have come, and I don't know with the next 20, 30, I don't know what it will be. But that live energy, you can't replace that. You really can't.
You really can't.
You can't. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like a live performance. And that's why we discovered our concert series through all of that, the changes in theater, what works, what brings people through the doors. So nothing. I don't think anything can replace. Zoom certainly can't.
That's right. We can't.
No.
Now we are close to running out of time.
Okay.
Any closing thoughts for the viewers?
Please go to our website. Where's the camera? Go to our website, check out Seven Angels Theater, see what we're doing, buy tickets, come on board, experience coming to Waterbury, and discover Seven Angels. I would be thrilling to me and thrilling to so many people. And I thank you for taking the time to listen to me talk.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. The show's been great.
And you've been delightful, so it's
Thank
been a
you
pleasure.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm Deborah Gilbert. You've been tuned in to Arts and Entertainment. In case you need to reach me, I'm at artsandentertainment@mail.com. Well, I hope you have a super day today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.